cool here, but Phillip Island, it is a captivating place always, and always delivering storylines. Over the next few hours, we will cover not just the competition, but put a spotlight on some of the personalities in this series as well. Greg Rust and Isabella Lembrugen with you. We are on the grid. Cars will join us very shortly for the final one of the weekend in GT3. This is going to be epic, isn't it?
Going to be epic. This is what we've been looking forward to, and it certainly delivered yesterday. A GT World Challenge powered by AWS. It had high drama. I mean, at the end of the race, just the vision of Brock Feeney just sort of limping down the straight here after his tyre puncture. That was unfortunate, but it was action-packed, and what a day. We get to continue it this afternoon.
It is a fraction warmer on Sunday than it was on Saturday, but the wind gusts are certainly stronger here today. That's going to be a factor for competitors, particularly if they arrive very suddenly at key parts of the track, either the final corner or down into the very fast turn one, for example. We have a variety of machines here, from the likes of the Mercedes-AMG, powered by a 6.3-litre V8 that has a huge amount of torque, almost 625 Newton meters of torque. It is great when it comes to the start, and particularly when we have safety car periods as well. But then on the flip side, the Ferrari yesterday for Arise Racing in the hands of Elliott Shute and Jackson Evans, they did a great job.
They were very impressive, Rusty, and that's what we love about this series. We've got, some international drivers, but some big name domestic drivers as well that we get to see out there tearing up this track here at Phillip Island, and some iconic brands, as you mentioned, Ferrari, but the list just goes on. Get to see them all up against each other, and it's been so fun to watch all weekend.
An hour's worth of racing to come your way. There is a mandatory pit stop window in that as well. We'll detail all the key rules for you to consider in this race, and we have some of the top teams in the country that are represented here as well. Drivers that have experience in supercars and more. So cars roll out of the pit lane. The Aston Martin, which was very fast in Friday practice, and certainly in qualifying, in the hands of Declan Fraser and Liam Talbot, who was a star for Arise Racing in the 2024 championship, but he switches from Ferrari to Aston Martin this year.
Yeah, and there was certainly some drama for them yesterday, wasn't there? Rusty had a great qualifying session, but ended up having to start from the back of the grid. It was difficult for them, but we're really looking forward to seeing what they can deliver out there today.
So the stage is set here. GT cars roll out of the pit lane for the main event. We are going to soak up all the energy and all the atmosphere before an hour of racing.
The island. What a place to race. Especially in machines that are meant for it. Where the views are best enjoyed behind the wheel. The ride is unlike anything else in the world. You kind of dance on a knife edge, somewhere between exhilaration and lucky escape. That's not enough to conquer it. Mechanical mastery and strategic genius are almost mandatory requirements. If you can get all that right, champagne is something to savour. It's the perfect place to start a brand new season. Welcome to the 2025 Shannon Speed Series, live and free on 7.
The party has started. The festival is in full swing. DJ Bilo is making sure we've got all the good beats here on the grid, which is a sea of people ahead of the final GT race of the weekend. Our coverage of the Shannon Speed Series live from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Good afternoon, everybody. Greg Rustin and Isabella Lembruggen with you. This is it as far as GT3 racing is concerned. We were treated to an awesome race yesterday, and I reckon we're in for another one this afternoon.
Yes, well, the atmosphere on this grid right now is anything to go by, Rusty. We're in for another electric race in GT3, and what a weekend it's been already. We've had some massive races already this morning, but really in the build-up to this today, and what a place to launch our season here at Phillip Island. It really is a motorsport lover's paradise, and we've seen it in its best all weekend, and it's just the start of a jam-packed season we have here at the Shannon's Speed Series. It all begins here at Phillip Island, then travels on to Sydney Motorsport Park in May. Some iconic racetracks across Australia from there, and then it all finishes across the ditch in New Zealand at Hampton Downs later in the year. So we are getting ready for a jam-packed season here at the Shannon's Speed Series.
Well done. We should quickly consider the weather here for a moment as well. It is slightly warmer than yesterday. The wind is up there. That's going to be a factor for these GT3 cars, which have so much aerodynamic support.
Yeah, it's been around 35 kilometres an hour, but we're getting gusts of up to 60 kilometres an hour today. So that's bringing with it a bit of a chill as well as the wind, and around 16, 17 degrees right now. Thankfully, the rain has held off though, Rusty, so at least the drivers don't have that to contend with at this stage.
Okay, I'm going to break here for a moment. We're going to go to Chris Stubbs. Thank you, Isabella. I'm just going to quickly talk with Ben McMillan, who is the CEO of SRO Motorsports Australia. Hey, congratulations. Opening round for you guys as a part of a brand new partnership with Speed Series, and we've set a new tone. Well done to you and everyone involved.
Yeah, thank you very much. Obviously, we had our round at August last year as a little bit of a tester, so taking a lot of learnings there from in August last year, implementing them here. I guess this is the path forward for us, all about activations off track, great racing on track. So thank you to all the team involved from SRO, Motorsport Australia, all the volunteer officials. So it's been a fantastic weekend.
We're taking up your time. We're going to let you enjoy the grid. There he is, Ben McMillan. Let's go to Chris Stubbs now.
Rusty, thank you very much. Such a great vibe down here on the grid, and what a great drive it was yesterday from Jaden Ojeda, almost nabbing the win at the end, mate. Congratulations on what was a great effort. Tell us about today, though. Very different conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, yesterday was an awesome race. It was, my hope was to keep Jackson honest, but I actually ended up having a sniff there on the last lap. So hopefully our Rialto AMG is as good as it was yesterday today, and we can hopefully give these front two a bit of a challenge before handing over to Paul in the pit stop.
All day we've seen here that the wind has been an issue and a talking point in these GT3 spec cars. What are you expecting? How much will it impact the Merc?
Yeah, the GT3s, we're so quick because we have a lot of downforce, but when the wind's going the other way and pushing the back of the car, they basically become big sails. So it's going to be super sensitive. I'm sure there's going to be a bit of chaos all tied up and involved, which will make it exciting for the fans and exciting behind the steering wheel as well.
Mate, go well. We're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you.
There are not just Aussies and Kiwis in this field. It is truly international when we welcome our next guest. This is Dorian Bacalacci, who is at the wheel of a Porsche here, and you are starting this one in the perfect position. Have you enjoyed being a part of the Aussie series?
Yeah, honestly, first race is here in Australia. It's a crazy track. First corner, it's very insane. We arrive like 240 kph there. I think
maybe in this track, P1 on pole position is not the best because all the start I saw, P2 taking the advantage in turn 1 because they are outside and then inside for turn 2. But I will try to give my best and put a lot of points today. This is the goal for the championship for sure.
Yesterday was about you bringing the race home the way that it played out in this car, but today you start the race. How are you going with your teammate in Shane Smolin?
Yeah, honestly, he's doing a great job. It's the first race in GT3. He won the championship last year in GT4, but it's quite a different car, of course, a lot more downforce. And he's doing a great job, so I'm very happy about him. And let's see today how the race goes, but he's a nice guy too.
It is fantastic to have you as a part of this. Enjoy.
Thanks a lot. Chris.
All right, well, we have got one of the biggest names in Australian motorsport here on the grid. Plenty of great drivers, but one of them, without doubt, at the top of the list is Brock Feeney. Brock alongside Brad Schumacher. Brock, yesterday, so close to a great result, but unfortunately a puncture there towards the end. That was yesterday. Today's a new day, right?
Yeah, quite the intro, mate. Thank you. Yeah, look, stoked to be back here at Phillip Island racing with Brad this weekend. It's exciting to be back in a GT car here, especially at PI, but yeah, yesterday, I mean, on the last lap, I'm like, oh, we're on for a podium, and boom. So anyway, we're off P5 today. Brad's been doing a great job all weekend. So how the penalty system works with where you're positioned yesterday, I think we got a good chance. Certainly fighting for the podium, hopefully for a win today. So we'll see what we can do.
That's it for those at home that are listening. You get a time penalty if you finish in the top 3, so that's added to your pit stop, so that works in your favour. Brad Schumacher, if you don't mind just grabbing Will Brown and Brock Feeney to help you through your campaign this year, you've got the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really fortunate to have these guys here with me this year. It's been great working with Brock. He's taught me so much over the course of the weekend, and yeah, it's just a little bit of a shame yesterday how it ended up for us, but yeah, we've de-engineered the car slightly today, and we'll try to manage our tyre wear throughout the race, and hopefully we can get a good result.
Well, it looks good. All the best.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Want to spend a moment by chatting with a driver who has joined the Ferrari lineup in 2025, and we're thrilled to have him too. He raced hard yesterday. Jordan Love, it's been a good addition, and it complements a big program for you in 2025, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a busy year looking ahead, mate. So I'm, yeah, it was very last minute. I'm super excited to be here, and yeah, huge credit to the Arise guys, and obviously Steve for having me along, trusting me with his new toy. It's pretty cool, you know. Can't complain. I'm here on the grid talking to you in a Ferrari, so it's yeah, it's a good weekend.
This is I mean, we try not to oversell it, but it is a cracking place to drive a car like this, basically, isn't it?
I mean, this style of track is what these cars are designed for. You know, very high minimum speed, fast flowing. It's high grip, and yeah, it really suits these cars.
I reckon his smile says it all. We're going to let you get strapped in and get set for work. We need to take a commercial break. We'll come back with more live from the island in just a few moments. Lots of great motor racing on 7 Sport, from supercars to sprint cars and, of course, the Speed Series here. We also say a big welcome to our international viewers. SRO Motorsports are the global leaders when it comes to GT competition. So for those of you watching on YouTube internationally, welcome to Phillip Island. We hope you enjoy the feature race. We are all set for GT3 action here. Let's take you to your commentators, a great racer in Thomas Randall, and alongside him, the voice of the Bathurst 12 Hour, here is Richard Crale.
Rusty, thank you. What a sight it is, and what a sight it was, with the grid filled with people here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit ahead of the start of race 2 in the GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS season. Yesterday, we had a sensational race to kick off the season. Today, there's no reason to expect anything different, and the qualifying session that got us to this yesterday was one of the closest ever seen in Australian GT competition. A tenth of a second covering the top 5 cars. Thomas Randall is alongside me, knows this place, loves this place, lives at this place. Welcome to Phillip Island, my friend, and what a racetrack it is to play with these very cool cars.
Thanks, Crailsy. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everyone tuning in. And like Rusty said, all of our international viewers, there is the track map of this stunning Phillip Island circuit. What a gorgeous location to go motor racing, with Bass Straight, the perfect view as you drive down into turn 1. 6th gear on approach in a GT3 car, and in qualifying, no brake through turn 1, just a lift, which is pretty crazy to fathom as a driver. Then turn 2, southern loop, back to 3rd gear, double apex corner, and then you are flat out all the way down through turn 3, late braking into turn 4. You're braking past the 100-metre board, relying on a little bit of ABS, down to 2nd gear, late apex, up to Siberia, turn 6. Again, really important to get a strong run off there as you go down through Hayshed, flat out through Hayshed, which is turn 8, and then up to turn 9. Lukey Heights, aiming to sort of V that corner and end up mid-track on approach to turn 10. And with the resurfacing that was completed early last year, Crailsy, it's actually quite bumpy into turn 10, and that's downhill. So you're activating a little bit of ABS as you head into there. Want to try and get all of that inside curb, rotate the car, and from that point, you are no brake from there all the way to turn 2. And crazy to think these cars in qualifying 1 minute 25 lap times. And like you touched on, a tenth of a second covered the top 5. And Dorian Boccolacci, that last lap out of nowhere, secured him pole position in that EMA Motorsport Porsche 911.
Average lap speed for pole position was 187 kilometres per hour. That's the average speed over the course of 4.45 kilometres. It is incredibly fast, this place, and yesterday it put on a great show as well. Really competitive racing from start to finish. This is how they start for race 2. So qualifying 1 with the pro drivers on board, sets the grid for the second race. It's the driver that finished yesterday. So then the AMs jump into the second half. He's got Shane Smollen alongside him in the EMA Porsche. Alex Peroni and Mark Ross start from the outside of the front row. Disappointment yesterday with a pit lane infringement penalty, but they get another go from the front. Ojeda and Paul Lachetti. Well, Jaden charged home in yesterday's race to second, narrowly by a couple of tenths, but it was the wise experience of Jackson Evans and Elliot Shute who got the win in race 1. Outstanding performance from them. Brock Feeney and Brad Schumacher, Jordan Love and Stephen White. We heard from Jordan on the grid. They will be fast and they will be competitive. In AM class, it's Ben Schutz on pole position in the Black Wolf Motorsport Mercedes AMG, ahead of Renee Gracie and James Konduras alongside our brother Theo in that race today. So lots to love and lots to look forward to in this one. An hour of racing, mandatory pit stops in the middle as well. The window opens at the 25-minute mark for the AM drivers. At the 30-minute mark for the Pro AM cars, you've got 5 minutes to do your pit stop, and there are some time penalties added as a result of results yesterday, including 15 seconds for the winning car, so they'll spend a little bit more time in the lane. That's the summary at the pointy end of the field. Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, AMG and Ferrari. The 4 brands were split by 0.07 in qualifying. Ferociously close and ferociously competitive as we get ourselves stacked and racked and ready for race 2 of what is set to be a compelling championship. The other story, of course, at the back of the field, keep an eye on the Volante Rosso Aston Martin Vantage GT3 with Declan Fraser starting, Liam Talbot, the defending champion, to jump into that car number 1 at the second half of the race. They were excluded from qualifying, so they've started both races from the back, but had a great drive yesterday, charged their way through the field.
They did, and this is going to be a really crucial part of the race, Crailsey, as all the cars are 2x2 formation, crossing their grid boxes, and it's going to be the run to turn 1 to see who can get that clear air first.
Audi versus Porsche. Young Alex Peroni gets a jump and over the pole man indeed. I wonder if they'll look at that upstairs. Regardless, it's the Audi in front for ACMF and Team BRM. Boccolacci in the Porsche has a look side by side behind Ojeda and Jackson Evans, who was so cool under pressure at the end of yesterday's race, was able to fend off the charging Realtor AMG, who's now hung out to dry on the exit of the Southern Loop.
Jordan Love has just got past Brock Feeney as well off the start there, so that's been a good opening couple of corners for him, as we've got Jackson Evans down to the inside, covering off Ojeda, who's trying to go around the outside now. Can't quite get it done, and that's actually allowed Love to try and go around the outside of Brendan Leach, but has been forced off the outside there and back under attack actually from Brock Feeney as well. So it's been a great start from Peroni. Yeah, don't know whether at the start there, it looked maybe he had a couple of car lengths ahead of Boccolacci, so might need to have a little replay of that. But he's got the clear air at the moment in the 268 Audi, and Boccolacci now in second, wanting to try and get back past Peroni if he can to try and get some clear air.
Yeah, the Dale ITM Audi was down the inside at turn 4 and got the elbows out a little bit, and Jordan Love in that dark red, the Maranello red car with a skippy up the side, wasn't giving way, but ultimately Leach in the Dale ITM car was able to get through for Team MPC, sharing that car with Tim Miles. There's Brock Feeney in the Kelso electrical car. He shared with Brad Schumacher. We heard from him on the grid. He loves driving these cars and he's very good. And Brock has got a great run here on Jordan Love, whose brother Aaron has been in supercars. Jordan came through the one-mate Porsche pathway here in Australia and then went overseas to race in Europe. And they are looking at the start as well at Motorsport Australia Race Control.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can get a replay of, well, it was a great shot from the side angle there. And Ojeda now in 4th. And Feeney actually had a average start, really. Lost 2 spots both to Love and Leach. So not quite sure what happened on the start for him, but Love now wanting to try and get on the back of Leach, and Evans under attack here from Ojeda as well.
Yeah, Leach applying the pressure, and Evans just struggling to keep up with that leading duo at the front. Good start though, Peroni pulling margin over Dorian Boccolacci, making his Aussie debut, first visit to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. And great to have EMA Motorsport back in the paddock as well from a full-time point of view. They ran 2 seasons ago with Yasser Shikin and Liam Talbot, and Garnett Patterson, I should say, and very nearly won the championship. Had a great season, took last year off just to sort of plan ahead, I suppose, with the new generation 911 GT3R coming into Porsche racing. Porsche Motorsport Asia Pacific helping put together that program, and they've gone very, very well. And Boccolacci sets the quickest lap of the race on lap 2.
Gap now under half a second between Peroni and Boccolacci. And there's a nice little battle pack here between Evans and Ojeda. Ojeda there in the 66 Mercedes AMG. So like you said, they had a really good run yesterday in that opening race, a little cheating. And Boccolacci in yesterday's race actually got the fastest lap of the race as well. So we know there's plenty of pace in that 911 Porsche, the EMA Motorsport run entry. And he's just had a slide actually off turn 2 there, Boccolacci. So just want to be careful when you've got just over 50 minutes left in the race not to use too much of that rear tyre. And there's no pit stops for tyre changes, unless, of course, dire circumstances, but no one's going to be doing any tyre changes in the mandatory pit stop. And like you touched on, Crailsey, that'll be opening 25 minutes into the race for the AM class, and then 30 minutes into the race for the Pro Am class.
With a 5-second time penalty coming the way of the ACMF Audi, driven by Alex Peroni, for a start line breach. We sort of thought that was going to come given the way the race rolled out. So here it is again. The rule is they need to drive through their grid boxes, which they did, but it was more the point at which the Audi went and his position relative to the pole man. So Dorian Boccolacci on pole earns the right to set the pace and the go point, and Peroni was a long way in front. We've talked about already this weekend, Tom, about the 1%ers making the difference this year, and for several teams in the championship 12 months ago, it was the difference between winning races and losing them. And so far, just a couple of little 1%ers at the Team BRM, ACMF Finance Audi squad. Yesterday was a pit lane infringement, an unsafe release that cost them a time penalty, and now a little jump start for Alex Peroni, 5 seconds. Now, you can make that back as the race goes on. At least they know what they've got to fight with now, but makes it challenging.
Well, the tough thing as well for them is because they had that penalty yesterday, they finished down in 7th position, which meant they didn't have any extra pit stop compensation time. And that's what they were kind of banking on for today's race, that they would only have to be in the lane for that 90 seconds, whereas their top 3 competitors from yesterday all had that extra time in the lane. So that's really going to hurt them. And it is frustrating as a driver, as a team, when you've got the speed, you've got the pace. They were fastest in both practice sessions. They've been top 2 in qualifying, and they had a really good opportunity yesterday to go for the win. And unfortunately, like you said, Crailsey, they had that unsafe release, which cost them dearly. And now, straight off the start, they've got that 5-second time penalty. So, like you said, it's all the 1%ers. It's hard to get everything right in motor racing. It's so easy to make a small mistake, and something like that so early on in the race, that's going to be an issue for them. Now, what can save them is having a penalty this early in the race. Is if they'll have to serve that in the pit stop. So whether a safety car can help them after the pit stop regain that lost ground.
Well, it basically puts them on the same spot as the car that finished 3rd in yesterday's race. They get 5 seconds added to their time. Stubbsy?
Just here at the team at the moment, and certainly diving through all the rules and regulations just in regards to that and when it can be served, etc., as we've now cleared up that they will be serving it at the CPS. Now, their issue off the start, and Alex is saying that Boccolacci actually slowed down, so that's what they're looking into as well, and whether they might have some avenue to review that.
Good update, Stubbsy. Thank you. They'll be having that argument. Marcus Kosh is the engineer down there at Team BRM, vastly experienced guy that you've actually worked with in international open wheel racing. Team boss Mark Rundle, Shane, who is the team manager. So they will investigate that, but right now the penalty's there and they're going to have to serve it.
And what they're trying to say there is, what Stubbsy got us from BRM, is that there's a set speed when the safety car enters the lane for restarts and for actual race starts. And normally that's set at 80 kilometres an hour. And as soon as the lights go out, whether it's a restart or a race start, you need to maintain that as the leader. So what BRM's argument is hey, they might have actually dropped below that set speed. So you can get in trouble for going below or above that speed. You're meant to maintain that 80 until you see the lights go out. So if I guess their argument is, if Alex has maintained 80 and Dorian has slowed down, then maybe that could be something that Motorsport Australia Race Control need to look at too.
I'll have the data from the car to look at that. Anyway, these are the little machinations that the teams work on over the course of the race. Peroni, Boccolacci, Evans, Ojeda, Leach, the top 5. Love just in behind in the second Arrives Racing Ferrari. And then it's Brock Feeney putting the pressure on him with Ryan Wood, his supercars full-time rival, just in behind him in the 88 car that he's sharing with Steve Brooks, the New Zealander, in the Wolfbrook racing car. Ant Pedersen, Mach 1 Engineering, New Zealand team, making their debut. Great to have those guys as part of the championship. That's the car on screen now. King is next in the Gaia Valmont Racing Tigani Autosport Mercedes AMG that he's sharing with Sergio Perez, who did a ripper job in the race yesterday. And behind them, Declan Fraser. So there's the Aston Martin, Shannon's insurance sponsorship on the bonnet. And he has worked his way from the back of the field to 11th position now, and looking to get himself in a good position for when Liam Talbot takes over that car in the second half of the race.
And Ben Schutz, class leader in AM at the moment. They got the win yesterday in the number 16 Mercedes AMG GT3 with Shane Woodman. So that was a great effort yesterday. And at the moment, they are leading, and they've actually, 13th position or 12th position overall. And he's just passed Tony D'Alberto on the timing. Tony's dropped off the timing there, so I don't know whether maybe he has a transponder issue. But at the moment, Schutz has about a 3.5 second margin over Renee Gracie for that AM class battle.
Just touching on the Liam Talbot story, the Children's Hospital Foundation being run on that car this season, and Liam will match every donation made sort of via the racing program this year. So jump onto his socials, search for Liam Talbot on Instagram, and you can get involved in that great charitable cause. Liam said he'll match that, and partnered up with Shannon's as well on the Volante Rosso Motorsport Aston Martin, which has certainly shown a fair bit of potential this weekend.
Such a great initiative, isn't it, Crailsy? We have an incredible platform here in Australian motorsport, and this is a great way to showcase that here at the GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, Shannon Speed Series at Phillip Island.
There's Peroni. He's got that margin out to 1.4 seconds over Dorian Boccolacci, with Evans another 1.7 behind. He's still got Ojeda worrying him in his mirrors. I saw Jackson's dad, John, in the paddock last night, and he said, oh, cool as ice, mate, cool as ice. He's so good at doing that. He's done it before in his career, Jackson. Just absolutely mistake-free, precise driving with no mistakes.
So at the moment, Crailsy, we've got the Aston Martin of Declan Fraser having set the fastest first sector, the Porsche 911 with the fastest middle sector, and the number 7 Audi of Brendan Leach with the third sector purple. So 3 different manufacturers, 3 makes, with taking out the bragging rights at the moment with all the 3 sectors. So they've kind of just spaced out a little bit in front. Peroni's got a 1.3 second margin back to Boccolacci, and I'm sure he's already been told by Marcus Koch on the radio that, hey, we're going to have to serve a 5-second time penalty in the stop. So if he can try and build up a gap and etch it out a little bit to make life easier for himself and also for Mark Rosser when Mark takes over that car in about another 15 minutes time. So he's got 15 minutes, Crailsy, to try and build the gap up.
Yep, and when the pros are in the car, they'll push that stint out as long as they can into that window to just buy them a little bit more time, whether it's 1 lap or 2 with the pro driver. The thing is, though, the margin between the pros and the AMs continues to get closer. The AM drivers now within 1.2 seconds of a full-time professional race car driver. Shows you the standard that these guys are at. I was chatting to Tim Miles about that, and he said, oh, I can get within 1.2 of Brendan Leach, who is a GT gun for hire globally and racing in Lambo Super Trofeo. He's won championships that. And Tim Miles is the guy who runs an investment business in Sydney. Very, very busy man with things like that. Doesn't get much seat time, only races 7 or 8 times a year. It's a huge accomplishment for these guys and shows you the level that they're operating at, which is just outstanding. So Alex Peroni leads. We're racing our way towards the pit stops in the opening round of GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Peroni, Boccolacci and Evans, the top 3. Ben Schutz leads Renee Gracie and James Konduras in the AM class. And squeezing down the inside in the Pro-Am class is Jaden Ojeda. No space there, but this is a copy and paste from what we've seen yesterday.
He's getting held up here, Ojeda. Evans has just dropped off the back of Boccolacci, about 2.5 seconds behind second place. So Ojeda will be trying to do everything he can to get by Evans. Now remember, that Jackson Evans car, they have to serve the longest time in pit lane, so they've got to add an extra 15 seconds. So from pit entry to pit exit, normally it's 90 seconds plus any additional pit stop time. So that'll be 105 seconds for the number 26 Arise Racing Ferrari. And then we head down to the Ojeda car. They've only got 10 seconds. So even if he sits there, stays behind, he should be able to get the jump once the pit stop cycle is completed. So that may work out okay in their favour. And Brendan Leach, the number 7 Audi, when he hands it over to Tim Miles, they have to add an extra 5 seconds of time. So at the moment, when you look at the leaderboard, Brendan Leach that is, he's less than 5 seconds behind Jackson Evans. So if it stays the way it is now with the gaps between the cars, they essentially should do a flip when they leave the exit after their CPS.
Correct, but they'll still be behind Dorian Boccolacci, and it'll be Shane Smollen, the reigning GT4 champ, who will take over the EMA Motorsport Porsche. So that's the exciting thing. We'll leave the AMs to it at the end. 12 months ago, it generated one of the better races we had all season, and that's a fair statement because there were a lot of them, because it left Tim Miles in this car, number 7, dicing with Brad Schumacher, and they spent basically 20 minutes going wheel to wheel, door to door, in an absolute beauty of a race at this place.
As Boccolacci just sets the fastest lap of the race at 26.7, so that gap is around about a second or 1.1 seconds. And this is going to play into the hands of guys like Jordan Love, Brock Feeney, and maybe even Ryan Wood. But for Love and Feeney, they're within about 6 or 7 seconds of the lead. And at the moment, Alex Peroni has that 5-second time penalty hanging over him as well. And whether or not the team at BRM can fight that with Motorsport Australia, normally when a time penalty is handed down, that's clear cut. However, they haven't served it yet. If it stays the way it is, as this is the team there talking, that is BRM there is the driver Mark Rosser getting ready. I'm sure he looks probably very perplexed and confused when he's been told, hey, we're going to have to sit in the lane for an extra 5 seconds. But think about this, Boccolacci, no penalty for their car. 3rd, 4th and 5th have extra time in the lane. So this at the moment will suit guys like Boccolacci and Shane Smolin when he takes over that car, and then Jordan Love, Brock Feeney.
Yeah, agree with that. And remember, Brad Schumacher, runner-up in the championship last year for Audi Sport. Team MPC, different car, and had Will Brown alongside him for the full season. Will do a part-time campaign this year, splitting the driving duties with Brock Feeney, his Rebel Ampol Racing teammate. And they did go to Triple Eight and ask for permission to run that number as well. Nice little touch.
It's tough when you get to have a choice between the two Red Bull Ampol Racing
two guys
supercar drivers, isn't it?
The bane of your existence at the moment,
Yes.
just getting the thorn in the side of Tickford's strong start to the Supercars Championship. So here are the leaders, not far from pit stop territory now, and Ojeda continues to nibble away at the back of the Arise Racing Lance East Exotics Ferrari 296 GT3, and Brendan Leach just hanging on. And that Audi has the shorter pit stop of these 3 cars. Peroni, meanwhile, 1.1 seconds. So it's just come back a little bit to Dorian Boccolacci in the Porsche.
Yeah, the way it stands at the moment, Peroni should be okay to hang on to potentially 2nd place here when the pit stops round out, but that's where he's sort of gifted that 3rd, 4th and 5th had that extra pit stop time. So yeah, whether or not Mark Rundle, the team owner at BRM, Bronte Rundle Motorsport, is trying to get that decision changed. Like I said, it'll be a tough one to overrule. At the moment, we've heard nothing from the Boccolacci 911 regarding any potential investigation off the start. And as he just sets another fastest lap, as we'll head down to Rusty in the lane.
Thomas, why don't we try and answer that? Mark Rosser is with me. When we walked past while you guys were debating that, we could see a pretty animated conversation. Where are you at with this?
We're just looking at the data. We believe that maybe Dorian actually slowed down and Alex has maintained the speed, which according to the rules, you actually have to slowly increase your speed at the start. So just going back to the stewards with that and see how we go.
I think you feel like you guys held a pretty consistent or a constant speed. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. We've already looked at our data. Our speed was held at a constant rate. So yeah, he must have slowed down.
I can sense you're like a cat on a hot tin roof here. You want this to go the right way, in your opinion, don't you?
Yeah, of course we do. But we've got mega pace as well. So if it doesn't, then we'll put in a strong performance here.
Let you get back to it. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks.
Fraser is out in the car. Of course, we've detailed that you had to start from the rear of the grid, the 2-time defending champion. How far can he progress and what have you made of it so far? He got some early.
Yeah, it's very hard in the aero wash here, but he's doing a good job. We're learning the car each and every time we go out, and yeah, I feel like we're punching above our weight with the lack of experience. All the teams here did at least 4 test days at Phillip Island. We did 0, so we're a little behind the 8 ball, but the harder the fight, the harder we fight back.
So you've got 6 rounds this year. You've got the Aston Martin. You were victorious in an Audi, then victorious in a Ferrari. How does this compare? Do you think you've got the wheels to go for the title again?
Yeah, I mean, given an opportunity, you can achieve anything. I really believe in the team, and the team believe in both Declan and myself. And I think we proved it yesterday with pole position. So, yeah, definitely more in the car. And if we're rusty coming in getting one pole, like, look out for the rest of the season.
We've just been detailing in the broadcast about what you're doing with the Children's Hospital in Queensland and the charity, mate. That is outstanding. How did it come about? It's something that must be very important to you.
Yeah, obviously being a father, you know, you really care about your children and you don't know what help you need when something happens. So very passionate about helping those that need help. And how can you say no? Obviously, you know, when you're young, you've got your whole life ahead of you. So you need to be able to help them progress through life, and whatever help they need, it's no questions asked. Well, I'm actually feeling really generous. So if we can, for every dollar donated this weekend only, I'll triple it. So
there you go, Liam Talbot. He's getting the job done on the track and getting the job done for people in need. Well done, mate. Good luck. You're almost in the car. Go well.
Thank you. Hi, Kenzie. Hi, Fifi.
Oh, Ojeda squeezes down the inside and there's contact with Jackson Evans, and they continue to box on through turn 11 and more. And there's some debris that's come off the back of the Arise Racing Ferrari. So while we were hearing from Liam Talbot, that was brewing, and it's just bubble over.
See actually one of the grill bars in the front of the AMG just flapping about towards the left side, and he was pretty committed over there. The juice, as they call him, Jaden Ojeda, and Evans shut the door, and there was nowhere that Ojeda could go, but that was pretty close there. That could have ended in tears, but they've managed to press on. And just a reminder, these two will be serving extra time in the lane. Less time for Ojeda, but it is still hurting. They've lost now 6 seconds to the leader, and this is all helping Alex Peroni out with that 5-second penalty. As we just heard from Liam Talbot, I just wanted to say that is just fantastic that he's going to be tripling every dollar.
Here's another look at this. So Evans was parked in the middle of the road, then turned the car in. Ojeda had the thing sliding. There's the contact, and then another whack here, and that's what dislodged a bit of the front bar on the Realtor Mercedes AMG. And the spectator watching all of this, and the guy enjoying it the most, will be Brendan Leach, because he's got a shorter pit stop time than those two cars. The CPS window opens now for the AM class entry. So Ben Schutz, Renee Gracie, James Konduras can all roll themselves into pit lane, and the Pro-Am contenders will start suiting and booting as well, like Steve Brooks is down there at the Team MPC for the Wolfbrook Motorsport entry.
Tell you what, Ojeda was very lucky not to lose that front left winglet off the front bar, as that actually creates, I mean, we know that these cars, they create so much underbody downforce through the floor. That's why these cars run so low to the ground. They're so stiffly sprung. We've seen sparks off the front left of the splitter through turn 1, but that winglet that sits above that produces still a lot of downforce, and with that contact, that left front to right rear, very lucky to get away with that on the Ojeda car, and it doesn't appear to have done really any damage to the rear of that 296 GT3. So at the moment, it's a kind of a bit of a play on here from the referee, and that gap out in front between Peroni and Boccolacci is down to just under a second at the moment.
Tim Miles getting himself ready to jump in the Dale ITM Audi. It's right in the thick of this fight down there at Team MPC. It's exciting to see how this is going to play out. And while there are 2 1-hour races in GT World Challenge powered by AWS, it's almost one long 2-hour race spread over 2 days, because the driver that starts race 1 finishes race 2. So you get this great ebb and flow in the way these races play out, as we're seeing now with the pros carving each other up like they are. All the little subplots that play around, then the AM drivers will get back in and tee off towards the checkered flag. So Konduras, the first of the AM cars into the lane. The Superbarn Supermarkets entry will hand over to little brother Theo, 2 years the junior of James. They've been racing in top-level GT racing in Australia for a very long time. With them in a Porsche Cup S, and they were one of the first converts to an Audi R8 when GT3 started popping up in the latter part of the first decade in the 2000s. But even before that, Porsche racing in Carrera Cup. The Canberrans love their motorsport. A couple of class wins as well at the Bathurst 12-hour over the journey. Passionate supporters of motorsport. And the Tigani Autosport crew run this car. They've alternated between an Audi and a Mercedes AMG as well. Elected to run the Audi this weekend. Rusty?
Just thought I'd quickly check in with Tim Miles before he jumps in the car. You've been talking with the MPC guys here. Has there been much feedback from Brendan? How is the car and what are you anticipating when you jump in?
He's just telling us that it's very windy, which is moving the cars around a lot. So, you know, it sounds like the car's good, but the conditions are pretty changeable just because of the amount of wind.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rusty, and to Milesy for letting us have that access so close to jumping in that car, just a couple of minutes away. Ojeda has a little look, couldn't get the move done at that point. The Audis were an interesting subject yesterday because they were strong quite early in the race and they faded late when the pro drivers jumped in. They just didn't quite have the raw speed. Talked to both Brendan Leach and Brock Feeney last night, so they wanted to make a few little changes. Feeney had that tyre issue in the right rear and unfortunately that cost them massively. And Leach was hanging on at the end of that race as well. So they've made some changes to the car to try and find a little bit of balance, but a little bit more performance out of them late in the race.
Well, I'd say the Audis seem a bit stronger today. So if anything, the Ferraris seem to be struggling more. The 26 in that matter of Jackson Evans. I mean, that was our race winner yesterday and he held off all that pressure from Jayden Ojeda to clinch the win in the opening race of the 2025 GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS. But today, Crailsey just seems struggling with that car and he's down to 8 seconds now behind the leader. As speaking about the pace of the Audis, Peroni's just set his fastest first sector of the race on this lap.
Well, it's got in-lap written all over it too because the CPS window is now open for the Pro-Am cars. So their 5 minutes is now open, that opportunity to get into pit lane. And how often do we see it that you set purple sectors just before you nail the thing into pit lane because it's the last opportunity to make up time. Ojeda finally is going to get past here. Moments before they get into the lane, he finally squeezes past Jackson Evans and takes third position away from the Ferrari.
That's an important move, Crailsey. Pivotal for him, for that car, for Lucchini, when they come into pit as well. And cracking move. Normally when you exit MG, you just pull. Yep, he's vying to maybe try and go around the outside here. And he does, sweeps right around the outside of Jackson Evans and all the way off too. Got to be careful on the dirt. Try and rejoin safely, and he just has tried to carry too much speed there, Crailsey, not been able to get it done.
Cost him a spot. Jordan Love, ever the opportunist, gets that move. So he had the big go around the outside, which you can do in these cars at this venue, but I wonder as he turned the car in, it would have hit the crosswind down there. So a massive tailwind blowing up Gardner Straight. The moment he got the car sort of turning in across where the wind is blowing, it almost looked like it grabbed the Audi and fired him off to driver's left. So he had a big moment there. Gee, the surf in the background's ramping up as well. Noticeably darker too, a bit of cloud cover starting to come over. It's bright and sunny for the first half of the day. So there are the Radicals and Porsches to come later on this afternoon as part of our coverage of the Shannon Speed Series. They'll be looking nervously at the Phillip Island skies.
Yeah, just touching on that move from Ojeda. As you come out of MG turn 10, normally you try and aim to get the car in the middle of the track and set it up for turn 11. Turn 11 in these cars isn't quite flat. You actually have to lift as you get a bit of understeer. And what Ojeda did there, he just shot out of turn 10 and headed straight for the inside of turn 11, full throttle. And it just caught Jackson a bit off guard. And he really had nowhere to go and had to open the door late to allow Ojeda through. And then that got the run for Leach. And unfortunately, Leach just went in a bit too hot into turn 1. Like you said, a bit of crosswind. Here is Liam Talbot getting ready to jump on board the number 1. Volante Rosso, Aston Martin very soon. No one has elected to pit yet, Crailsey, but like we saw yesterday, everyone pitted together, so I think we may see that again today.
Yeah, no box opposites going on in GT3 racing. But we often see in the second race of a weekend, they'll press on as long as they can into the race with the pro driver, just to maximise the value, the bang for buck out of your paid driver, the professional behind the wheel. Declan Fraser in for Volante Rosso. The Aston Martin peels off and Liam Talbot will jump in. And that's not a critique against the AM, it's just a fact of life that you want to keep your gun, your ace in the car for as long as you possibly can. But they're going to be in very, very soon, otherwise that window will close. And if you pit after the window, that's a big no-no, basically done and dusted for the day. We saw the swift hand of justice supplied to several teams yesterday. In comes the Realtor car. In comes the two Arise Racing Ferraris. Out stays Brendan Leach.
That's a gamble, Crailsy. Big gamble. And just to add to when, for today's race, it's the pros getting out, the AMs getting in.
Correct.
They get the warm tyres, they bleed the pressures down a little bit and lower fuel. So I think if anything, these boys prefer to probably finish the race. And happy hour now as the temperatures are coming down. Maybe some rain on the horizon. May not make it for this race, but just looking at the radar, there's a little bit of precipitation hanging around Bass Strait.
It's not pretty.
And here we track the Dale ITM number 7 Audi, and this is back to our race leader.
So both of these cars elected to stay out one more lap as well. So they're on the same approach as Team MPC with the number 7 Audi, who jumps up to 3rd place with the pit stops underway. Feeney's remained out. Ryan Wood has remained out as well. So good to see Ryan Wood's having a good day in the Wolfbrook car. They've had a really challenging weekend. Couple of offs early in practice as Boccolacci has another look at Alex Peroni, who is resolute. They've got that 5-second penalty coming their way when they pit, which should be this time by. Do they bail across to the left-hand side? You bet they do. Attack that pit lane, but a curb on the inside and then nail the 40k an hour line, which they both do exceptionally well.
Just touching on that Ryan Wood car, this is his first weekend in GT3 racing, and we'll just head down the lane now with Rusty. What do you got for us?
Tom, just, I mean, what's the length of this lane? I think it's 493 metres. When it is a bit of congestion down here in these moments, it can be very hard for the driver to find their pit crew member. So they've got different ways of signalling to come for them to come into the right pit bay. But unfortunately, Tony D'Alberto endeavoured to peel in early to what he thought was wall racing, and he had to come back out into the fast lane, then rejoin back where their proper garage is.
It is a tight, narrow pit lane, Rusty, thank you. There's the 5 seconds served for Team BRM. So they've ticked that box. Peroni jumps out. Here's EMA Motorsport at work. Dorian Boccolacci out of that car, and in will jump Shane Smollen back in top-level GT racing. Love the livery on that car. A bit of an homage to the famous Grello Manti Racing scheme, but with all the local racetracks that EMA Motorsport will tackle this year. This is going to be a fascinating rejoin. It's a race in pit lane to cleanse the order. So Steve Wyatt is already behind the wheel of the number 77k. He took over from Jordan Love. So he's the first car on the racetrack that's completed the compulsory pit stop. Clock's ticking. 1:30 in the lane now for Peroni and now for the EMA car. So Rosser exits in the ACM Finance car. Felt like a long stop for 911.
Yeah, very long.
Rosser back out, and at this stage I think he's going to have a net race lead.
That's, I don't think we really expected that big of a gap. In fact, we thought it was going to be the other way around for those cars.
Well, 1:49 in the lane for EMA Motorsport. That's a long, long stop. The 90-second pit stop time, he's come out behind Tim Miles. There must have been an issue down there for Dorian Boccolacci and Shane Smollen. So the outcome through all of that, despite the extra 5 seconds, as we see this battle between Smollen and Tim Miles on pit exit. The Audi looking to get up to temperature. The Porsche on the outside of the road and running out of it. This is wheel to wheel. This is for 3rd and 4th place on the road. The Porsche is going to sweep across around turn 3, and Miles understeering, struggling to get that car up to speed. Through goes Wyatt. Through goes Paul Lucchini as well. The Audi is struggling and there's contact. Turns around. Takes the end place off the Audi. It's all teed off after the pit stops at Phillip Island.
It's all going off here now, Crailsy. I just can't understand the gap between Boccolacci, or the 911, to that 7 Audi before the stops was about 10 seconds. We've got Talbot down the inside now of Elliott Schutz, and he gets the move done. So, yeah, just trying to unpack how...
We need timing to update, because Schutz being shown a long way down the leaderboard, but we just need them all to complete this lap to understand what's going on.
That 911 car, as we've got a replay here, this was all pretty chaotic as the 911 and the Audi went side by side, and the Audi's tried to stay down the inside, and they've made contact.
And around goes Paul Lucchini, so he's got the work to do. Coming from the back now after a strong start from Jaden Ojeda. Mark Rosser leads the way at Phillip Island. and breath and off the road. Brad Schumacher. The Audis are in struggle street after the pit stops, and Shane Smollen is flying in a really big wobble there for the Bathurst, and he's under pressure from Smollen. The Porsche going to the front quickly.
Lucky to hang on to that actually off turn 2. Massive wobble out of 1 and then off 2 as well. And Smollen's right all over the gearbox now of Brad Schumacher. So a lot of pressure being applied to the 888 Audi, and that car up in a second position, which we thought they might get up to third after the pit stops. But yeah, they've jumped the 911 car, which is, I'm a little bit perplexed by that.
Stubbsy.
Outside EMA Motorsport, and as Shane was trying to leave, he was unable to do so. You could see him turning on the wheel, but the car just was not moving, and the team was screaming at him, clutch, 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 multiple times. It was a significant delay, so real frustration here for the team.
Performance Centre guys are glued to the screen. Brendan, can we just can we dive in here? Was there some sort of struggle for him? Do we know what was going on earlier?
Yeah, we put different rear tyres on the car, so cold tyres. So for him, made it a bit tricky. I'm not sure what happened there at the hairpin, but yeah, he'll be right. He'll come back. The car's actually pretty decent today, so really big thanks to the team. Yeah, so we're in the fight. Yeah, it's still a while to go yet, but P5 at the moment, and I think he'll be coming back hard pretty soon.
Leave you there. We might see if we can dive in and grab a word with Brock if we can. Sorry to interrupt you there. What was the car like during the stint? I mean, everyone's been talking about the wind and the impact of that. What was it like?
Yeah, we were struggling a bit there, Rusty. Obviously just couldn't hang on to that front group. But, I mean, Brad's done a great job. He's up in P2 now, so hopefully we can hang on there for a podium. It'd be a great salvage from, I suppose, what hasn't been the best start to our year. I mean, yesterday was looking good for a podium, and unfortunately we lost that, but yeah, hopefully we can hang on today. Yeah, it's not the best thing ever, but yeah, if we can walk away with the trophy, we should be happy with that.
Cheers, Brock. Thanks.
Greg Russ talking to Brock Feeney, and great insight there from Brendan Leach as well. So they put new tyres on the rear of the Dale ITM Audi as Liam Talbot squeezes up the inside of Sergio Perez to get another position. Gee, the 15 seconds extra for Elliott Schute's been massively costly for the Arise racing car, so we were wondering why the Ferrari was so far down. Well, just through all of that, they've ended up right at the very back of the fields and shown in 13th at the moment. You can see them just tacking onto the back of this fight, and now Talbot looking to go around the outside of Lucchini as well. So Liam on the charge, as has been the case for the Aston Martin all weekend long for Valente Rosso.
The big winner out of the pit stop cycle was the 268 Audi, Mark Rosser. They've got a 13-second gap back to Brad Schumacher, and we just heard from Brendan Leach, the driver who started in the number 7 Dale ITM Audi. They put another set of rears, so cold rears. There's no tyre warmers in the GT World Challenge Australia, so had to bring those tyres with temperature as we go side by side here. And we've got, that made contact between Talbot and Lucchini in the middle of turn 2. They managed to hang on to it. And Talbot's pushing pretty hard here as he's trying to make up a few more positions. And we only saw a couple of laps ago Lucchini that went round with that contact with the number 7 Audi. As here we go, Talbot down the inside, Lucchini. And that's Perez as well. So that's 2 moves down the inside. And he's going to try and hold it down the inside here is Lucchini, but he can't do it. Perez really only spun again. Oh no, he's going to have to regather that up and get it back on the track here, Krause.
All going off at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. GT World Challenge powered by AWS. Race 2 has exploded into life in the second half. And Liam Talbot, speaking of exploding, is going forward in a hurry. He's got himself up now into the top 7. He's chasing Brooks in the Audi, the Kiwi making his debut in the championship. We visit the land of the long white cloud in the second half of the year. And he's excited about that, but looking forward to tackling Aussie racetracks in the meantime. And Talbot absolutely flying. Defending and 2-time champion. Side by side now, Miles looking around the outside of Steve Wyatt, the West Aussie, the Arise Racing Ferrari. And that's a position gain. That gets the Dale ITM Audi back up to 4th place.
And those rear tyres are probably up to temperature now. And just got to give them a couple of laps to bring them up to temperature. And there is a bit of a balance shift as well when you have hot front tyres and you throw a set of cold rears on, because the front will be really pointy and you don't want to try and overwork those cold rear tyres straight away. Here goes Talbot down the inside of Brooks, and late lunge there into Miller corner, and Brooks just managed to see him really late and open the door. That's another position for the number 1 Volante Rosso, Aston Martin. They're up to 7th now. They were 11th before the pit stop cycle. So, or 6th, sorry, as he's got past Brooks. So 11th up to 6th, and now he's going to have his sights set on Wyatt, who's in that 77 Ferrari. He's got a replay here down the inside. Brooks turns in, and right here realizes, oh, I've got an Aston Martin down my inside. Better not commit to the apex. And the Ferrari of Chute and Perez behind also getting amongst it.
Great driving from Brooks to see him coming. Would you get talked to about that in Supercar land? Honest question.
Probably not this year. I think this year it'd be all gloves are off there, so there was no contact. And I tell you what, really, really wide off the last corner was Talbot, probably just now in right behind of Wyatt in the Ferrari. So he's feeling pretty racy at the moment, Talbot. If he can get past Wyatt, he'll try and get on the back of Tim Miles. There he is in shot heading into turn 2 Southern Loop. So he's just gone around the outside of Wyatt, and there is plenty of pace in that number 1 Aston Martin. We know that it is fast, especially in the first sector. They have the fastest first sector of the race, and that gap now between Talbot and Miles is about 2.5 seconds. And Schumacher as well has actually got that gap down to 10 seconds on Rosser as Perez makes the move as well.
Serge is having a great drive in the Guy Valmont Racing Tigani Mercedes. So that gets him up to 6th position. Really impressive stuff. So Sergio working his way forward. Rosser continues to lead.
So we've just had confirmation that they also changed the rear tyres on the 888 Audi as well. So,
and sorry, Tommy, confirmation from race control, 15-second penalty to Tim Miles. Car 7, that's for that contact down at turn 4 with Paul Lucitti. So dramas for some of the key contenders here at Phillip Island. Rosser leads the margin 10 seconds. Schumacher and Small in the top 3. The Ferraris teeing off, and Elliott Chute, another driver, working his way forward and looking to get to the back of his teammate. He's to the back of his teammate, now looking to get to the side of the fellow Arise racer, does so. And there'll be no friendly fire here, and Elliott gets that car down the inside, and that will move him to 7th position.
A 15-second penalty for Miles is a big blow to the number 7 Audi. Ouch. They had a bit of a game plan, tried something different and changed the rear tyres in the stops.
Well, Talbot's gone by already.
So much pace in that number 1 Aston Martin. So he's up to 4th now. Like we said, they were 11th before the pit stop cycle.
And he is currently miles quicker than the 3 cars in front. Give you a lap time check as they come by. But he took 1.5 seconds out of Shane Smollen in the first sector alone.
And passed the car as well.
Correct, that lap. So at that rate, he's going to cruise up to the back of a top 3 finish in this race. What a start. He touched on the fact in that interview with Stubbsy that he hadn't had much seat time, in fact, no seat time before the start of the season. Very limited opportunity to go testing. And the deal that came together quite late, but gee, there's some promise and potential aboard car number 1.
I look forward to seeing this lap time when he crosses the control line, not too far away, but both his first and middle sectors have been super strong, like you touched on, 1.5 seconds out of Smollen in the first sector and 7/10 in the middle sector. So as he comes down to the line here, just to give you an understanding, the leaders are doing 29.1s for Mark Rosser and a 28.1 for Liam Talbot. So he's 1 second faster than our race leader, and he was 2.1 seconds quicker than Smollen on that lap alone.
Yeah, exactly. That's the more important point. He's only 6.7 seconds away from a podium finish in this race.
I tell you what, Crailsy, I'm just keeping an eye
on
the weather radar. I don't want to curse it, but there's a bit of rain on the horizon with 10.5 minutes to go, just over 10.5 minutes to go. Will we see any of the wiper blades coming on these cars anytime soon?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Couldn't throw anything more at us, surely.
Well, we know how strong the wind gusts have been here, so that'll be blowing that weather across. As quite a late entry there for Tim Miles, and like we said, such a shame for them. Trying that alternate strategy with those fresher rear tyres, they're going to have to take a 15-second penalty as now. Oh, we've got car 268, our race leader, Mark Rosser, under investigation for a pit stop breach. Don't tell me, Crailsy.
Well, Brad Schumacher and Brock Feeney will love that little update. Rival Audi camp, same car, but different camp. So I wonder if that's a CPS time breach with that 5-second penalty. Wow, just been thrown at the BRM Audi this weekend, hasn't it? Meanwhile, Sergio Perez continues his march forward. He's locked up under the rear wing of Tim Miles. And is there an opportunity down here at turn 1? No, there is not.
Talbot, another 2.5 seconds out of Small and a 27.1.
I mean, he's at the pros pace when they were in these cars. He is flying, Liam Talbot. 5.3 seconds to a podium, and through goes Perez. So the Guy Valmont racing car up. I hear on the grapevine that Serge's good mate Marcel Zalua could be back as well at later rounds this season. They're famous for having raced together for a long time. Oh no, the Porsche, it's spun. High drama at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. A car contending for the race win has a puncture on the right rear. And Shane Smollen for EMA Motorsport was second, is now limping back to pit lane. And this race gets thrown on its head all over again. So exit of Siberia, the long loaded left-hander at the bottom end of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Narrowly missed by Liam Talbot, who now finds himself in third position in the Aston Martin. And that is big drama.
We saw it in the back of the shot there. We could hear it actually, a car going round, and must have just let go that right rear on the entry.
Bigger story. Drive-through penalty, race leader for a pit stop breach for Mark Rosser. He will serve a drive-through penalty. We understand it's for working on the car while it's still running. Renee Gracie got a penalty for that yesterday, or MPC did, for the OnlyFans car.
And whether or not that was working on it during maybe that 5-second time penalty they had to serve or after, but I can't believe it, Crailsy. Our pole man and our second place getter at the start of the race, our front row, both having major troubles here.
So Brad Schumacher and Brock Feeney in the box seat. Rusty?
I'm actually at Team BRM, Crailsy, so we're going to tackle this in a minute. Just in relation to when it happened yesterday for Renee Gracie, I think it's a little bit of devil in the detail in the rules. It's how long you start your car up for after you complete that, how long it's running before you leave the lane. And if you run it too long while it's stationary here, I think that draws the eye of the officials. So they're here raising their hand to the moment saying we don't understand why at Team BRM. Meantime, a number of the teams have wet weather tyres on standby. Bit of an eerie feeling down here at the moment. Cloud cover feels cooler, and I know the radar suggests we might get some rain this afternoon. Whether it's before the end of this race, we'll wait and see.
When Rusty says it's an eerie feeling, it's an eerie feeling.
I'll tell you what, Crailsy, you wouldn't have thought at the start of this race when these two cars were starting off the front row that they'd be in the lane with 6.5 minutes to go. One changing a right rear tyre and the other serving a drive-through penalty.
This championship, we're one and almost all of 2 races into this, and so much has happened. And next stop we go to Sydney Motorsport Park, a track not dissimilar to this place in terms of load and speed and challenge and undulation. So, wowee, plenty to play out yet.
And all of a sudden, we've got Liam Talbot in second, 8 seconds off the race lead. And remember, guys, that car started this race last. They're up into second place. So who knows what could play out here at the moment in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS.
This is Tim Miles dicing with Elliot Shute, or vice versa, because Shute's driven up to the back of the Audi and he's got the flashes on Stubbsy.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is the tyre from the Porsche. There was no warning, no indication that it was losing pressure, so that's a real disappointment for this team. They've had a tough one today after so much promise.
Been good to have EMA back in the paddock. Tough outcome for those guys. And Shane was driving really well, on for a podium finish after a racy start with Dorian Boccolacci.
So yeah, just confirming for the 268 Audi, like Rusty said, Yeah, working on the car in the lane with the engine still running. So, like we've touched on all weekend, it's all about the 1%ers. You can do everything right, and such a small slip up like that in the lane. We've seen so many small mistakes in the lane, and we're already hearing reports of rain now, Crailsy.
That, just to put a full stop on it, that was the same penalty that Gracie got in the race yesterday. So it's caught out 2 teams, and a rule interpretation, I think they're being bandied about pit lane, and it's caught 2 people out. So hearing reports of rain at Phillip Island, 4.5 minutes to go. Do you stop now and throw some wets on in the hope that it's enough before the end? Or in 4 minutes of racing, are you confident enough that the inbuilt temperature in the slick Pirelli you've got on now will be good enough to survive? Bearing in mind that when it rains at this place, it's genuinely not light.
Well, it's a big gamble, Crailsy, especially if you're the race leader, because depending on how much rainfall there is, I mean, if it's only a few spits, not too bad, but remember, you've got hot tyres on the car. So if you were to pit and put wets on, they're going to be cold wets as well. So 4 minutes to go. I'd hate to be an engineer or a strategist at the moment, as these two keep on racing hard at the moment.
Sergio Perez is running 3rd. This has been one of the great weekends in his driving career in the Guy of Valmont Racing Merc. This battle on for 4th and 5th, but there's 15 seconds to be added to the time of car 7 for the Audi for that contact earlier, just after he'd got back into this car after the pit stop. So Elliot Chute looking to get himself up 1 position on track. He will inherit that anyway after the race. Meanwhile, Liam Talbot is taking 1 second per lap out of the race leader. It's 6.6 seconds at the moment. Lucchetti versus Wyatt. This is for 9th and 10th place. Renee Gracie leading the AM class, by the way, at the moment too.
Yeah, very nice. So Woodman has got a 5-second penalty in the 16 car with Ben Schutz. They were leading early and they were outclass winning yesterday. So they've got a 5-second time penalty lingering over them. So
here's Paul Pedersen in the Mercedes AMG Mach 1 Engineering Kiwi team. They run a pair of AMGs, the GT2 specification cars, more entry-level GT car in New Zealand over Somerset GT New Zealand Championship over the summer for Joel Giddy and Ant Pedersen. Paul's behind the wheel. He's being hunted down by fired-up Mark Rosser, who's looking to salvage some championship points. He'll get a few spots out of this with that Miles penalty too. Oh, look at that. That's the way the weather's coming from too. As Miles defends at MG, Chute still trying to squeeze his way past in the Arise Racing Ferrari. We need more cameras than we've got because there's battles going everywhere. Good drive out of 11. Is this the opportunity? Into 12.
Yeah, it's hard to complete that move unless you are absolutely alongside. So these guys are having a ding-dong battle. You can see from that camera angle, there's rain spots on the lens. So who would have thought with 2 minutes to go, the gap out in front down to under 4 seconds. Can Talbot catch Brad Schumacher? He's got time against him, not on his side. Look how slow they're going now through turn 1. So you can see the rain actually down to turn 2. Rusty?
Guys, this will give you a bit of a clearer look. You can feel it coming sideways in on me at the moment. Definitely here, but at this late stage of the race, do you stop? Do you make? It's too late, I reckon. You're going to have to just gamble on these tyres to the finish.
Rusty, get out of the lane.
I think I'd rather be Rusty than in one of these GT3 cars in the rain.
Totally. Same high value though, it must be said. On the forefront of reporting down there on the gateway to hypothermia. So this battle on, they are clearly struggling for grip. It's raining at Phillip Island. They've got 1 minute and 20 to go in this race. Just a couple of laps to limp through. The leading margin is 3.3 seconds. Liam Talbot is absolutely flying in the Aston Martin.
But for Talbot being in second place, the leader Schumacher is the pioneer. So you know when you're in second, you can see where he breaks and go, hey, I could probably step it up a little bit. And this is the toughest thing for Schumacher here. With 1 minute remaining, it'll be this lap plus one more. So as the rain continues to fall, we could visibly see the drizzle and Talbot taking over another second out of Schumacher. The gap down to 2.5 seconds. I think it might be a case here, Crailsy, of who can stay on the track. And look at these, the windscreen wipers are frantically wiping at the moment as the rain continues to fall.
1 minute 41.6 for the leader, 40.3 for Talbot. Absolutely flying. Schumacher works his way past Theo Konduras in the Superbarn Supermarkets Audi. Talbot second, Perez third, Miles still fourth, fending off Elliott Shute. Tippy toe stuff. Another 5/10 taken out by Liam Talbot. He clears the Superbarn Audi. Down at turn 4, lap and a half to go.
Wouldn't this be a story, Crailsey? From 16th on the grid, or 15th from last, potentially to first, that gap under 2 seconds. And Schumacher, oh, the nerves will be up, the adrenaline will be pumping as they all vie, searching for grip. We can feel it in the commentary box. All the wind, the rain, it's howling out there.
Massively concerned about our own safety at the moment, let alone those on the racetrack. Incredible conditions, blowing a gale, it's raining, and the margin is now just 2 seconds at the front. It was 10 after the pit stops between these two. Oh, and off the road goes Mark Rosser, and that could end it all. Down at turn 4, he's a long way off. There's a lot of concrete runoff, bitumen runoff, and then the gravel trap further down the road. But the ACM Finance Audi is off the road, and so too Pedersen behind. Here's the Miles Shute battle. So that went on, and there was contact there. They've got no grip. Absolutely no grip, and behind that, spinning into view, comes Rosser in the Audi. And a pretty fraught day for that team comes to an unfortunate end.
Yeah, tough day, tough weekend. Now, they may just put a local yellow there, I'd say. Keep it green for the rest of the track as we are on the last lap now.
Schumacher's responded. Great response from Brad. So the margin back to 2.2 seconds. So as it's got wetter and he's learned the conditions, he's managed to peg that margin back. Brendan Leach watching on. He would love to be in the car in these conditions. This is made for a Kiwi, but he's got to watch from the lane. Double waved yellows down here at turn 4. No overtaking. You must show that you've slowed down, but it's green in the sector after. 1.9. Talbot edging closer, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Brad needs to be mistake-free to bring the Kelso Electrical Audi home. The last half a lap here at Phillip Island.
Looking good so far here, Crailsey. Half a lap to go. Just got to hit his marks, and if anything, the rain looks like it's probably settled down somewhat from where it was a couple of laps ago, but still treacherous conditions for these guys. Just coming over the top of Lukey Heights, that gap now under 2 seconds. Quite visible there, but I think for Talbot, he's going to run out of corners, he's going to run out of laps, and he's going to run out of time.
He'll get past Adrian Dietz if he can, down in 10th position. What a drive. He was a runner-up in the championship last year. He wanted to complete the trio of coming from Trophy to Am and then Pro-Am and win the championship. And Brad Schumacher will open his account with Brock Feeney. It's going to be super close, but the Audi is going to do the job. And in an incredible end to the race, Brock Feeney and Brad Schumacher win race 2 at Phillip Island.
Yeah, great drive there from Schumacher. Withstand the pressure, the rain. You're on slick tyres out there. I can't express how hard that is, especially when it's hard to judge the rainfall. Look at the rain. You can see it there around the last corner on the camera as we follow Elliott Shutes around the last corner. He's going to grab the final podium position in the Pro-Am class. So it's one thing keeping these cars on the track in these conditions, and it's another getting a podium as well.
And big result for Elliott Shute to drive from the back after the pit stop. They were outside the top 10 to maximise what they achieved yesterday. Big haul of championship points, and provisionally they'll lead the Pro-Am class going into round 2, he and Jackson Evans. That is a big, big job. Sergio Perez across the line in 4th place. Will be over the moon for that. Miles and Leach across the line in 5th place. And do you know what? Even with their 15-second penalty, they're going to retain that position. They will not drop any further down. So that's been a good outcome for them. Good drive from Miles in the wet. And Steve Brooks across the line in 6th position. A handshake there from Ryan Wood. That's a solid drive from the Kiwis.
Fantastic drive from the top 3. The Triple Eight Audi started in 5th with Brock Feeney grabbing the win in those conditions. Liam Talbot and Declan Fraser, they started last. Elliott Shute, like you touched on after the pit stop, were nowhere. So those top 3 have worked bloody hard to get that result.
What a race. Liam Talbot got it down to 0.7 of a second. Started last, ended second. Huge drive, but the win goes to Schumacher and Feeney. Shute and Evans in the top 3. Perez and George King 4th. 4 different brands in the top 4 as always. recovery at the end. Well, Shane Smolin and Dorian Boccolacci led early, pole position, penalty for cars around, and then ended up in 12th position at that one. And Rosser and Peroni, I think they'll be classified, even though they were buried down in the gravel trap there at the end of the race, but 14th. We'll see if they get championship points. And well done to the AM class winner. Renee Gracie gets the trophy there. Good comeback from yesterday in a difficult drive after a late race penalty for the 181 car. And second will be Shane Woodman and Ben Schutz. Lot to like in that one. Couldn't believe how it finished if you were watching at the start. There were blue skies and some sunshine at Phillip Island, but it has regressed significantly over the last hour, and it put on a show. The pros started. There was a start infringement penalty for the 181 Audi as it led down, or the Team BRM Audi as it led down towards turn 1 with Alex Peroni, and then this battle went on. Jaden Ojeda, in a repeat of yesterday, had a really aggressive drive and a great battle with Jackson Evans.
Yeah, that was a fantastic move from Ojeda. He was stuck behind Evans for quite a while. Not as much pace in that Ferrari today as they would have liked, and putting on an authoritative overtake on the 26 Ferrari. And this was the pit stop sequence, which ended up resulting to that penalty for Peroni and that long pit stop that we saw for the 911. And you know who was on a charge? Liam Talbot. He said, I don't care about anyone else today. I'm going to try and find my way through everyone. And that's exactly what he did. And Lucchini got turned around by Tim Miles at turn 4, then spun at turn number 6, Siberia. And then this car, the 911 car, which was our pole sitter, got that puncture at Siberia, and that cost them a great result.
And then the rain came, Tom, and it became really dicey in the final 4 minutes. These two were boxing on for 4th and 5th place. A little bit of contact behind that came Mark Rosser spinning off into the gravel trap and out of the race, and he has been classified a DNF too, so no points there. In the end, 0.7 of a second the margin, but Brock Feeney and Brad Schumacher the winners in race 2. Awesome. Awesome, says Brock, and it was, Rusty.
I'm down here with both Brad and Brock. Hey, look, as you get ready to take your helmet off here, that must have been pretty wild final few laps when the rain started to fall. What did that feel like, and how tight were you holding on?
Oh man, it was tricky for sure. It's not easy around here in the dry, let alone in the wet on slicks, and yeah, it was just a matter of trying to push the car's limit to the grip edge, because obviously Liam was coming up fast, and yeah, I'm just so glad that the checkered flag came out in the end and we made it across the finish line in first position after yesterday's result. I'm just chuffed. I don't know how to put into words, Rusty. I'm absolutely pumped.
You should be chuffed. Brock, come in here and celebrate with him. When the pit stop happened, one thing I didn't clarify with you in the interview is that you guys changed rear tyres too, and that made it a little bit tricky to begin with for him, didn't it?
No, the best thing was that this fella got in the seat. I was nowhere, Rusty. I can't believe we won that race. Obviously, things went our way a bit, but Brad did a great job. He was super fast. Obviously, how the penalties and that worked out, he did a great job. And then at the end, I couldn't believe the rain came. We were pretty home and hosed. And then Liam obviously did a great job, but for Brad to hold on to the end, I mean, yeah, after yesterday and how that race was going, I can't believe it, to be honest.
Congrats to both of you. Well done.
Thanks, Rusty.
All right, why don't we wander back here and have a word, if we can, to Renee Gracie, who's won her class as well. She's just jumped out of the car. Can we have a word here, guys? Want to come in and say congratulations. Hey, that was a pretty wild old race, hey?
Thank you. I'm keeping my helmet on so I don't get my hair wet, but no, it was very good. Yesterday was a tough day getting the penalty, and obviously today I just had my mindset on getting out and getting back to routine and getting down as quick as I could and just focusing on me, myself and I feel like I executed everything really well yesterday, and I just wanted to do the same today.
Well, you did that, but in addition you had some curveballs thrown at you like the weather and so on. What was that like?
Oh, it's just another day in Phillip Island, isn't it? I knew it was coming. I could see it. I was waiting for the call on the radio, and then when he said, look, there might be some rain, I said, I was waiting for that about 5 laps ago. So I knew it was coming. You could see it, and I was lucky enough to have a big enough gap that I didn't have to worry about it. So I was very cautious in those last few laps.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Krause.
Thanks, Rusty. Pouring down with rain. I've got to say, the local weatherman, Tom Randall, absolutely called that halfway through, and it eventuated. What a race it was. GT World Challenge powered by AWS. Well done, Brad Schumacher, Brock Feeney. Renee Gracie, your winners on a big Sunday here at Phillip Island.